United.
I hear the music. You know what is happening.
Stoner, you look good.
Oh, shoot. I look better than I feel. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Triple Option, presented by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Saucy Nugs today. Whether you're joining us for our first live stream ever or watching after the fact, thank you. And we want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media at 3X Option Show. Remember, rate us, throw questions our way. We love to have interaction with our listeners and our viewers right there. New episodes coming away every Wednesday. And we're going to be doing these live streams throughout the rest of the season when the college football playoffs finally drop, and they finally dropped the first one here. So glad you're here with us. We've been waiting, right? We've been waiting for this one, right? Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get notified when we are live. If you have any questions during this, please submit them to the YouTube folks. They'll handle it. They'll get it out to us. All right, we ready to talk college football playoff rankings? The first one came out. I got my little cheat sheet here, guys. And
okay,
let's
got
start.
It. Print it up.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Commissioner,
yeah.
You look like the commissioner right now. Go ahead, Rob.
Do I?
Yeah. You look like you're part of the committee.
I got
the whole sheet printed out.
The proper shirt on here too as well. All right, so let's talk about the 12-team bracket. Okay, but with the rankings. Okay, and we're going to start because this is very interesting to me. The two teams out. Number 13, SMU from the ACC. Number A&M. 14, Texas A&M. So those are the first two teams as of now out of the college football playoff picture. Again, these are the rankings. Number 12, Boise State. Number 11, Alabama. Saturday, big test. Or they have that big win over Georgia, which has really helped keep them afloat. Notre Dame checking in at number 10, wins over A&M and Louisville, but that ugly loss to Northern Illinois. At number 9, BYU representing the Big 12, the only
undefeated
Big 12 team. Undefeated. Put some respect on those three letters. The only Big 12 team in the top 12. This was the one we were always just kind of curious to see where it would pop up. Indiana at number 8. They don't have the brand. They don't have the strength of schedule, but they're sitting there at 8. Tennessee's at 7. Penn State, who just fell to Ohio State last weekend, at 6. Back to the SEC. Texas at 5. Unbeaten Miami, ranked number 4. Georgia ranked number 3, which means the top 2 ranking spots are owned by Big Ten teams, the Ohio State and Oregon. So those are the rankings. But again, the bracket changes everything up. So we'll get to the bracket in a second. Coach, I'll start with you. Again, the committee ranked the top 25 teams. And down there at number 25, sneaking in, unbeaten from West Point, was a program that caught your eye.
Yeah, I've been critical of the committee. I think they did a heck of a job. I've been looking at this thing for the last 20 minutes or so. Yeah, we talk about Army. That's a great story, but it's almost like Coach Prime's forgotten here a little bit. I know we're going to go see him, but we talked about Coach of the Year earlier. Why is he not involved in that? Colorado, arguably the worst program in America, not only 2 years ago, and now Coach Prime's got his team at 20. Think about that. So I got Indiana, Prime, BYU, and Army. Those are the 4 that warm your heart. Those are all great stories, and there's a lot of football to be played. And we get to watch the Buffaloes this weekend. So that's what caught my eye. Yeah, and the last one, Indiana, Tennessee ahead of Indiana. That's one thing I probably would have put I watched them both play. And, of course, you got some incredible talent at Tennessee. But I'd take right now Indiana over Tennessee.
And, again, it's Tennessee just above Indiana.
They're
7
taking strength,
and 8.
They're looking at strength of schedule. You say wins matter. They say who you beat matters. Yep. And
brand Indiana matters too, Mark, I think.
What'd you say?
Brand matters. There's 4 SEC programs.
Yeah, I think who you beat. Indiana hasn't really. They have their test coming up, but you talk about Tennessee and their schedule thus far and their wins that they've had thus far. Obviously, the committee values that a little bit higher. I see. So
there's a slew of teams that are just on the outside of the top 12.
They're all within striking distance, man.
Yeah, and guess what? 3 of them are from the SEC. Ole Miss
there's 7.
at number 16.
In the top 16. Yep.
Yeah, they're sitting there in elimination game mode. They host Georgia on Saturday. Ole Miss loses.
Everything's is
in front of them.
Elimination game in the SEC. Unless you're Georgia, you probably have room for one loss. But Texas, perhaps. But Ole Miss, an elimination game versus Georgia. LSU, Bama, that's an elimination game. A&M, they're looking like they're going to be on a collision course with Texas.
End of the season.
End of the season. That's going to be an elimination matchup if both of them end up with no losses till then. So these teams at 14, 15, and 16 still control their own destiny.
Sure.
You look at Colorado, they control their own destiny too. Like, I love this. I love these rankings right here, because even Clemson down there at the bottom, you got SMU, Miami. You just got to get your foot into the championship.
Right.
You get into the championship, you get an automatic berth.
Right.
So
let me throw this at you. Let me throw this at you, Mark. I'm staring at this thing. So me and you played in the BCS era. You played, I coached.
Right.
You lost the game, you're normally
You're
out.
done.
You're done. So when the rankings would come out, really most of the country could care less. You're down to about 4 teams. And then the 4th team, that was the first year we won it in 2014, but you still only probably had 8, 9 teams. I'm looking at this. You got 24 teams. You got 24 potential.
They have a shot.
25 that they're waking up tomorrow, going to work at their practice facility. Their coach is standing in front of the team. There's leaders like Mark Ingram saying, we have a chance to make history and do this. And what do you think that practice will look like that day?
And they hyped up.
Incredible.
And it's fast. It's fast, moving around.
It's so good. So good for the game.
I love it. But Stoner, man, tell me this, because I'm trying to still figure it out. How there's a scenario where unless BYU is 13-0, Boise could have the 4 seed.
Yeah. So the top 4 conferences that are the highest seeded teams get the first round bye. So right now, the 1 seed is Oregon, the 2 seed is Georgia, the 3 seed is Miami, and the 4 seed is BYU. So they are automatically, as of now, sitting in the quarterfinals.
But there's a scenario where if they lose a game and Boise continues to win out, and Boise's ranked higher than them,
correct?
That Boise gets the bye, even though
Boise gets a 4 seed,
even though BYU possibly could win their conference.
Yep. Yeah.
It's the highest ranked conference winner.
Yep. Wow. Yep. So is the Big 12 and BYU right now valued higher than Boise State and the Mountain West? Boise State kind of living off that good loss to Oregon early on. Ashton Genty having Heisman type year, and also Mark, you brought up a point when we're looking at this. There's some bid stealers out there. I'm a college hoops guy, right? And there's always the bid stealers out there with March Madness, and SMU is a bid stealer. SMU gets to the ACC championship game, and let's say they win it. They're
SMU.
going.
Is that great?
They're in. Going. Automatic bid.
They are in. And guess what? Miami is probably going to be in as well. So now all of a sudden you're saying there's 2 from the ACC that are sitting in there. I don't think, we have 4 from the SEC inside the 12-team bracket, 4 from the Big 10 inside the bracket, 1 each from the Big 12, ACC, independent being Notre Dame, and the Mountain West. I think Ohio State's interesting, Coach, because they were ranked number 2 right behind Oregon, but because Oregon right now is on top of the Big 10, they are giving them the number 1 seed because they're going to win the quote unquote the Big 10 championship, which gives them a quarterfinal spot. So Ohio State may be number 2 in the rankings, but they are number 5 in the bracket. So as of now, the Buckeyes would have, if you're looking at the bracket right now, they would have the easiest path, I think. Having said that, they have to play an extra game, but it would be against Boise State, a home game, and that home game is at their choice, right? It doesn't have to be in Columbus, Coach. Bad weather's rolling into Columbus. They could say, you know what? We don't want to, harm our speed guys. Let's go inside. Let's go to Indianapolis, and let's play a home game against Boise State.
When do they have to make that decision?
I think it's that week. I don't know the exact day, but
can you imagine the logistics of flipping that around?
Right? Like, we're not going to play it. Should we go to Indianapolis? Go play inside.
But they might. They might. If you got that much skill and speed, why?
It makes sense. Why
weather's a great equalizer, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then they'd have to go to BYU, and then what? That group of 4 games that becomes the bowl games.
Yes.
What? Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl.
Let's just talk, Mark, as you stare at these teams. And this is you've played in the big one. I've got to coach in 3 of them. Did you play in 2 of them, Mark, or just 1?
I played in 1. Yeah, played in 1. Yeah.
And you know this as well as I do. In Ohio State, just focus on them for a minute. The most physical team will win the national championship. Every 100%. One of these teams in front of on the picture, they have great skill. Some a little better than others, but great skill. The team that, and I used to say this to our players, the team that punches the hardest will win the national title.
Yes.
It's historic. I mean, it's time tested. That's what happens. Ohio State, there were concerns. I don't have more concerns. I saw what I saw. We were live there. That was the best 4-minute drill I can remember seeing. There was 5 minutes and 13 seconds left. They ran the ball 10 straight times for 59 yards on the road at Penn State.
From the 1 yard line.
Defense, from the 1
Run
yard
the
line.
ball.
And they basically said, we're running the ball, stop us. And I went back and watched that three or four times.
It's what
today.
Michigan did to Penn State last season, right?
Them. Yeah, but Penn State forced the Wolverines
Run
to
it down
punt a
your
bunch.
throat and make you like it.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
but
but
what
I
about
just-
that? What about
that
that
changed
defense, Coach?
Oh,
They didn't allow Penn State to score one touchdown that entire game. They gave up 2 field goals. They had an interception at the end of the first half. Then they had a goal line stand when the team needed it most.
All right, here's
And
what
that
I'm going
was
to do,
just-
Mark and Rob, right now. We're off script here. Give me 1 through 5. 5 is tough as hell. 1, you're not sure. 3 is medium. Okay? Toughness, Oregon. 1 through 5.
1
Is
is
that
good,
a tough
5 is
outfit?
low.
1 is
5
tough.
is the toughest. 5, you're a tough cat.
5's the toughest.
3 is average.
I'm giving them
I'm
3
giving
to
them.
4.
I'm giving them. Yeah, about 4 right now. How they?
I agree. How about Ohio State?
Same. But
Yeah.
here's my concern, though, Coach, is
That
that
was an equal. That was an equal game, Coach. That game is. They're heading for a collision on a rematch.
For sure.
And
They could
that's
be
going to be
Ohio
on neutral
State
ground.
and
3
Penn State.
games.
Yeah,
They could
that's
be
going to
3
be on
times
neutral
this
ground,
season.
and I'm not sure.
But is
Oregon-
Georgia a tough team? I'd say yes. I
Yes,
watched their defense
Georgia's
going-
a tough team.
How about Miami? I don't know about Miami.
I
Are
don't
they
know if they're tough, but they're
They got a great
resilient.
quarterback.
I don't know
Great
if they're
quarter-
tough.
Great
But they're
quarterbacks
resilient.
get beat if they're not tough.
Yeah.
I just
I don't know if they're tough, but they are resilient, Coach. They've had to come back 3 times, and
Is Texas tough?
yes,
Tough.
Texas is tough. They just
Not
seen
as tough
they're
as
a
they
3.
were last year.
They're a 3 because when they saw a real tough team like the
They
Dogs,
got hit in the face at home.
yes, and
How
didn't
about Notre
respond.
Dame? Is Notre Dame tough sitting there
No.
at number 10?
Notre Dame's not tough.
Right now, Notre Dame meeting Penn State in Happy Valley, the 10 versus 7
What about
game,
this Bama versus Texas matchup in the first round?
right? 6 versus 11.
Look at
And then
that.
above that, Tennessee versus Indiana, and then Ohio State, Boise State.
I mean, as college football fans, I mean, this is awesome.
Right?
This
I'm
is awesome.
smiling
It's great.
with you.
It's great, man.
But like Coach said, you have 24 teams with a legit shot. They're waking up like, okay, we got a chance. So this 12-team thing can shake up quickly. The pretenders and the contenders will be separated here in
There's
November.
24 teams that are there's no discussion about transfer portal. However, you
With
lose
one loss,
more.
there might be.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
see a couple.
We got a question on the screen right now, guys. Does a 1-loss Indiana team that plays a close game in Columbus get left out because of a
No.
2-loss SEC game?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I think they got Michigan this weekend. Does Indiana? You know,
At number
their
8,
their strength of schedule is very questionable. Like, we understand that, we
Yes,
get it.
yes.
But what they're
But
doing
Stoner-
with that schedule, they're dismantling teams, winning
Stoner,
everything by
yeah,
double
all you can do
digits.
all you can do is play who's on your schedule. But where you start matters. They're at number 8. If they were at number 10, 11, that's
Then
a
you're nervous.
possibility. At
Then you're
number
nervous.
8, you don't drop more than 3 spots with a loss to Ohio State. So they run the table at number 8 and they lose to Ohio State, you can't bump down more than 4 spots. Even if they bump down 4 spots, they're 12. So a 1-loss Indiana team does not get left out over a 2-loss SEC team, in my opinion, depending on how they play that game.
Agree. And listen, the Big Ten is going to be fighting for that, right? Because there is backroom conversations right now. The Big Ten wants as many programs in there as possible. Ditto for the
Sure they do.
I want
Ditto
Penn
for the
State to play
SEC.
Indiana because they might get beat by Indiana. I
They
want
might.
Penn State to play Indy. I think right now they line up. I think they get beat.
So we agree that the max amount of teams from the Big Ten that will get into the playoffs will be 4. And I think it's going to be 4 unless Indiana or somebody just absolutely bottoms out Penn State if they can't bounce back. But for the SEC, they're currently at 4 teams right now: Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and Alabama. But
There's
lurking
3
at
more.
14 is A&M, 15 LSU, 16 Ole Miss. Do you think the SEC mark gets 5 programs in?
I think they get 4.
Yeah.
I think they get 4. I don't think.
I think
they
it's
get 5.
addition by subtraction, right? If somebody loses and goes down, somebody pops up.
It also depends on if any of these teams implode and lose multiple games over the next month of the season, because that'd be the only case where a 3-loss SEC team could get in. Because you got A&M, which they're favorable until they go see Texas. Texas is favorable until they go see A&M, and then LSU and Bama's in an elimination game. Ole Miss is in an elimination game. I think the SEC gets 4 teams in, and people would just have to lay an egg and lose 2 to 3 games for there to possibly be a 5th team to go in.
Could happen.
It could be.
So 4 and 4, that leaves only 4 left between everyone else. That's tough, man.
Correct.
So you get the ACC champ.
Well, but again, remember, how about if SMU
Big 12
steals
Big
that
12,
bid, right?
highest group of 5. So that's
Big 12 has had a great season.
That's 11, Coach.
I would love to see 2 from the
11.
Big 12 in. I don't know how it's going to happen. Iowa State, Kansas State losing last weekend really helped Colorado's chances. I mean, how about Colorado makes a run to the Big 12 championship game, wins
Let's
it,
go.
steals a bid. Does BYU stick around? They're sitting there at number 9. That is a tough one. Can the Big 12 get 2 programs in? Brett Yormark is fighting for that real hard, and I don't blame him.
It would possibly be them, because you have the ACC champ.
SMU.
So we said 4 Big 10, 4 SEC. That's 8. You go 9 for the ACC champ, 10 for the Big 12 champ, 11 for the highest group of 5 bid, and then that's 1 more. So it could possibly be Big 12, or is it out of the ACC?
The ACC just got really interesting.
This is exciting, man.
Or a 5 SEC, Mark.
It could possibly be.
There's some good teams bouncing
if people
around
just
there.
got the runs and they crap down their leg, if they got the runs, they can't hold up and they just crap down their leg.
Oh my God! Too soon. Too soon. Too close. Speaking of that, let's throw in a saucy nug right now. James Franklin versus the Ohio State, 1-10 now. 7 losses after leading the game at some point. We're going to talk more about Coach Franklin a little bit later in the show and an incident after the game. But that is your saucy nug of the week. Try some at your nearest Wendy's. So Penn State sitting there at number 6 in the rankings and number 7 seed. So right now, Penn State has a home game. So how about this? 3 Big 10 teams have home games. Oregon as a 1 seed, Ohio State as a 5 seed, Penn State as a 7 seed. The SEC home games, Georgia as a 2 seed, Texas as a 6 seed, and Tennessee as an 8 seed.
Wow.
Coach, I love the fact, I do really enjoy that point about there are over 20 programs right now that are saying to themselves, hey guys, we're still alive. Because that was not the conversation at this point last year. It was maybe 9 to 10 teams. Hey guys, we might be able to make a little run. We can sneak in there. We just doubled that field.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's the motivation of the team, motivation of the coach. Every coach is going to show this and be congratulated, congratulate the players, but also say, use it for motivation. Are we really, I can see right now that Bama, and looking at some of those teams in front of them, say, are you kidding me?
Right.
We put a good run together. We are better than the number 11. So this is great motivation. And we haven't talked about this yet. How about the fan base is waking up right now saying we got a shot at this damn thing.
Yeah.
This is the energy in all these stadiums throughout the duration of the season. Yeah.
I want to clarify something real quick. I did misspeak briefly. The quarterfinals are at neutral sites. So I was giving, Oregon and Miami and Georgia a home game, 1 through 4 in the quarterfinals. They are at neutral site at those bowl games that you were talking about. And again, it all ends up in late January in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. First ever college football playoff rankings. And we're going to be doing these live shows on YouTube until the last one comes out. The day that matters is, what is it, December 9th? Is that the day that December 8th? That's the last bracket comes out. Who right now, and we'll start wrapping this up here in a second, is kind of on precarious terms right now. Who do you think is a little worried about where they're sitting? Alabama maybe at number 11. I think Notre Dame's pretty good at 10 right now. They don't have a whole lot in front of them schedule wise, but I think those SEC teams that are in outside of Georgia are concerned about what might happen, and the other SEC programs that are kind of riding up their tail a little bit.
Well, right now in the SEC, go ahead, Coach.
I was just going to say reality is, and I've been there, not in this format, but right now, why do players play? And there was a time, Rob and Mark, years ago, you played because you're supposed to play. You go play in the Rose Bowl. You go play in the Fiesta Bowl. Some teams you're excited to just go play in the a good bowl like the Outback Bowl. But that's times changed right now. And I think once a team gets knocked officially out of the playoff, especially if you're a blue blood team, right. I'm looking at A&M, LSU, Alabama, Penn State. I'd put Clemson there. I'd put Ole Miss with high expectations. You lose that third game, there's some conversations going on in that locker room that aren't comfortable. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some agents, which, I just wish they weren't in the locker rooms in college, but they're going to be having conversations with their player and their coach saying, why is he not getting more touches? I'm going to go ahead and move on to the NFL. I'm going to maybe transfer. That's when it gets nasty, uncomfortable, and there's, we can say panic or patience. There's a lot of panic on those two lost teams right now that are real good programs.
But the good thing is that these players are going to be sticking around longer through the course of the season because of the expanded playoffs, right? A lot of people might have, red lines out of town already, and now they're sticking around.
I wonder if we're going to find out if 3 is that magic number with a blue blood. When you get 3 losses, unless you're in the hunt for the championship, you're out.
That's a good one.
We'll see if that.
It depends. It depends how the rest of the field plays too. Because if the rest of the field has 2 and 3 losses, then you kind of give them, some favor with the schedule. I mean, look at Tennessee, man. Like, they still play Georgia. They still got Vanderbilt, who is a really good team this year. Then you talk about Georgia. They have Ole Miss this weekend. They have Tennessee. Like this Georgia schedule has been just crazy. And so playoffs are starting right now in the SEC. And Alabama and LSU is an elimination game. Ole Miss loses to Georgia. That's an elimination game. Which Ole Miss is where is that game even played at? Like it's played at Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is home this weekend. We're going to talk about our BetMGM Pick 6.
So, the playoffs are starting right now in the SEC, and Georgia still has 2 games on the schedule plus the SEC championship. So, the SEC is going to be strange coming up here in the next month.
Can we finish with one last comment here? I can't believe we're giving SMU this much love, but they're sitting there at number 13, the first team out. How about the big signing for the Mustangs?
Let them know.
Today?
Let them know who they got.
Big signing for SMU this week.
Swag King Cole
Leinert, Maddie's son, signing
Swag
up
King
with
Cole.
SMU today. How
QB1
cool is that?
at SMU, holding it down. Congratulations, Swag King Cole. That's my dog.
Hey, you know who broke that news in my house?
Who?
My son, Camden at TCU.
He broke the news?
Camden in my house. He had called Cole today. He's like, hey, Dad, Cole's committing to SMU today. And meanwhile, Matt is like sending us these cryptic texts in the morning, like, big news today, guys. Something's happening. Big news. Follow me. And he totally forgot about it. Meanwhile, Camden's calling from Fort Worth, like, Cole Leinert, breaking news.
Camden like the new Shefty?
Yeah.
Camden out here getting the inside scoop? Down there at TCU? Come on, man.
Let's go, bro. I'm going to see the boy today or this weekend after our Texas Tech trip. Can't wait for that trip, by the way, to Texas Tech. Throw some tortillas, and Colorado at number 20 in the rankings at Texas Tech Saturday off that bye week.
They throw tortillas?
Yeah,
Teach me something.
Tortillas right when the game starts. Man,
they just waste tortillas?
Yeah. You'll learn. It's all in the wrist.
What are they throwing them at?
Anybody?
On the field?
Players field, for sure. Don't worry. We'll educate you. We'll take care of you in Lubbock. Coach Mark, any closing thoughts? Did we check all these boxes here on the triple option?
I'm excited, Stoner. I'm excited, Coach. This is awesome. Like, everybody had questions about the 12-team playoff, how it would look, how it would be for college football, and this is amazing. I'm telling you, if college football is stock, I'm buying it, and I'm buying it in bulk.
There we go. So thanks for joining us for our first ever live stream. Be sure to like, to follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel and other social media platforms at 3X Option, as well as anywhere you get your podcast. The full episode with former NFL quarterback Alex Smith, that's going to drop tomorrow morning. Yeah, man, he's got some, boy, what a great conversation with Alex Smith. You guys are really going to love that. So more from the triple option presented by Wendy's dropping tomorrow, wherever you get your podcast. And of course, you can find it on YouTube as well.